talking about people in the industry that have really grown, and I've got to see the growth over the years. A lot come to mind, but I would say a couple of great examples. Peter Prescott's been a lifelong friend. He's a hero to me. I've known him since the day I started, been into 48 and a half years. And he's built something at EJP that something to be extremely proud of. His son, Stephen, was a truck driver, truck race car driver, and one of the best in the country. But he used to race trucks and was one of the best in the country. But Peter thought it was too dangerous and said, hey, listen, I want you in the business. Stevie made the decision to come into the business, and everybody was sort of, jealous of the fact that, Steve was his last name and of the member of the Lucky Sperm Club. But let me tell you something. Stevie has earned everything he's gotten out of life. And people say, well, once Peter goes, something happens to Peter, EJP will be in trouble. EJP is not going to be in trouble. Stevie Prescott has been a terrific CEO and manager for years, and along with guys like Robbie Chadwick, his right arm. They're not going anywhere, and they built a nice thing. So to see Stevie grow from truck race car driver to CEO of EJP is something to see. I look down at Bo Campesano, who's the head of Ferguson Waterworks, runs a $7 billion piece of the Ferguson empire. I met Bo 100 years ago in Fort Myers. I met his parents before I met him. And my attention span is about 10 minutes. So we were on vacation, and I said, I'm taking a rent-a-car. I'm going to go call on some Waterworks people. This is a million years ago. And I went into Fort Myers. I pulled into Ferguson, and I see this kid. And baseball player from Florida, good athlete, and he was the branch manager. And he said, he put his hand out, big smile. I'm Bo Campesano. I started laughing. I said, no, you're not. I just met Bo Campesano in Marco Island. He said, well, that's my dad. I met his dad and his mom, who were in the real estate business. And to see Bo go from, manager of a store in Fort Myers, work his way up to regional manager, regional VP, and now head of all the water, that's something nice to see. To see Kevin Murphy, this is really a success story. To see Kevin Murphy go from the back room at Midwest Pipe, a family business, Midwest Pipe and Supply in Columbus, Ohio, that Karen and Bob Murphy started. And Kevin worked there, but he worked in the back. And when I met Kevin, he was in the warehouse, and he was picking an order. Very big smile, lovable Irish kid from Columbus that liked the waterworks industry. And in a few years, they end up selling to Ferguson, and then he worked his way up. He is now the CEO of a $30+ billion empire, doing a marvelous job. I look at people like Jack Schaller, who I've known since he was at Seidner Supply. And Jack just pointed out something here at his retirement, that he was right and I was wrong. He didn't give me my first order, but he did give me, he gave me a lot of time when he was in his mid to late 20s in St. Louis when I called on Seidner Supply. And Jack was, kind of a jack of all trades, pardon the pun. And he worked himself up from Seidner. He ended up being the president of Core and Main. To see him grow like that, unbelievable. One of my other mentors, a country boy from West Virginia, a guy named Harry Hornish. Harry Hornish is an icon in this industry. Still a good friend. One thing you have about the waterworks industry, you make lifelong friends. Lifelong friends. Harry will be my friend till they put us both on the ground. And he orchestrated the combination of U Supply and National Waterworks that became what is today HD Supply. But Harry has been a mentor for a lot of people in the water industry, a class individual, and somebody that the waterworks industry owes always a lot of gratitude to. I look at Jerry Webb, one of the guys that worked with him, one of the most honest and uh, family-loving, feet on the ground type of people you ever want to meet. A Rocket Gibraltar type, who's going to also go, a lifelong friend. Two of our best friends, my wife Chris and I, are blessed to have friends like Bob and Karen Morgan, who I met in Minnesota when he was a branch manager of Water Products. And Bob and I hit it off in 1977 instantly. A couple of sports guys that had half a brain and wanted to make a career out of it. And Bob, a former captain and quarterback of the Golden Gophers in Minnesota, but he is a complete class act, been very successful in life and business, married a wonderful woman in Karen Morgan. And then Eddie Morrison, who I met at Citgo, what is now Citgo Water. Eddie and Karen Morrison are two of the nicest people God ever made. And they are dear, dear friends. And we vacation with them. And, Eddie is one of the best golfers and has been in the Waterworks industry, and one of the finest gentlemen in the Waterworks industry. And he's just a pleasure to be around. And having those two couples to travel on a regular basis with is a blessing. I could go on and on. I look back at the career, and when I left when NAPCO died, and we joined Sigma. I took the team with me. It was slow going, and who gave us our first really shot in the arm was a guy named Mike Groniger and the Groniger family out in the West Coast. He was the first one to believe that the ex-NAPCO guys were for real, and Mike and Bev and Ricky and Mike Jr. and Scott Groniger, Billy and Kurt. The Groniger family from both Groniger and Martin Susko jumped to support us and got us on our way. That was big. Hod Fowler and Dave Kirker were two other people up in H.D. Fowler that really, really helped get us going in the beginning. We had a lot of Andy Zazzini and Harry Kirk at ACT helped, good friends with our Al Richardson, and helped us build a base in Texas, which was nice. Another success story, when I think of Texas, I think of Chris Tunstra. Chris Tunstra is the VP of the Southwest for Ferguson, and I met Chris in the yard. He was in the warehouse, and I went around and I was talking to him, and he was so sharp and such a good kid that I asked his boss, a guy named Phil Selby. We're all going to lunch. I said, let's take that kid. I like him. And he's turned out to be a tremendous success story. To see people grow in this industry, see my friend Sean Kelly and Rick Phantom in Canada for EMCO, and the way they've developed from small beginning to running the largest waterworks, and Rick is CEO of all of not only of EMCO, but of Ajoka. And Sean is running all of Canada. And to see the growth in him, and Sean's beaten cancer. It's been really amazing to see the growth. Tony Cottaspati, good friend of mine in Canada, to see him where he came from, being a plumber, and now he runs a significant arm of Duchesne in Canada, and has done a marvelous job, and again, a class individual. The waterworks industry, I could go area by area and talk about people all across this country, because they're all dear friends. Dave Wickett in Colorado, got to know him a little later in life, and wish I had met him 40 years ago. And we've become great buddies, and he's as honest as the day is long. And again, guy started with a broom, became CEO of a $300 million outfit. Started with a broom. Dave Wickett, great success story. Darren Anderson, tank commander in the Army, tank commander. Worked his way through, which is now Corps in Maine, Then got into another industry, a company called Cook and Boardman, door frames and hardware business. Now he's in another business in door frames and hardware. Tremendous success wherever he goes. Self-made. Self-made. Great stories.